What up, y'all? It's Gabe P, host of On the Radar, co-host of Comic Kings with Charlamagne the God and Enter Player 2 on Power 105.1, and you're rocking with Young Atlas.
So, Gabe, tell me a little bit about what you do.
So, I guess you could say job title is digital content manager or digital content producer, whichever one you want to say. It kind of varies depending on what I'm doing. But basically, I run the social media at Power 105.1, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebooks. I write blogs for Power 105.1, and then I also do stuff with other stations. You know, I'll do stuff at Z100. I'll do stuff with KTU. We got Jingle Ball coming up, and I'll be the legendary Jingle Ball. I'm not gonna lie, I like Jingle Ball. It's kind of fun. Being at a pop show, it's kind of nice to sometimes expand your horizons beyond just a regular hip hop show.
Like the pop versus the hip hop.
Well, last year it was kind of similar in some respects because Cardi was the headliner, but it's a lot more. I don't want to say calm because it's still just as crazy, at least in my world, with what I do. But I feel like it's just a different energy. I think it's also because it's Christmas time and it's Jingle Ball. You know what I'm saying? So like everything, like the whole MSG's decked out with like Christmas stuff. You know, they give out Santa hats. Like it's a real good vibe. They have like a gift lounge. They have like Santas there. That's why I like it. I don't know. I'm a big Christmas person, so I think that like working that event is like it's one of my favorites of the year solely because it's mostly Christmas themed, and then it's just you get a check from working it, so I can't complain.
That's great, and I know we were talking a little bit off camera, but you got a really interesting story about how you got into the game. Where did it all start? Like, when did you start finding that passion for the entertainment industry?
So I guess like the quick version of it is like I kind of always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. You know, I played a lot of instruments as a kid. At a very young age, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a singer. That obviously didn't work out. And then once I got to college, I was like a marketing major, and then I was trash. But I found my radio station at St. John's, WSJU, my first week of college, and then I did all the necessary steps to become a member and get a show within like a week. I remember I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. I'm like, I want to have a radio show. This is going to be my little thing at school. Yeah. So I did that. I had a few different shows while I was there. I had a show called No Genre, which was me and my homie Sergio, one of my best friends, and my homegirl Ariana. It was like one of the biggest shows on campus at that time. We had like a SoundCloud with like a couple 100,000 views, which was like pretty big for someone who's like 18, 19 years old. SoundCloud got taken down though because copyright, but that's okay. And then, so we had a few other shows and whatnot, and then I remember basically the abridged version of it is they asked me to interview Angie Martinez from Power 105.1 when she was on her book tour, and then from there she liked me and my co-interviewer Nyla at the time, and she brought us both to Power to intern for her, and then long story short, I never really left.
So that was like a
super
legendary interview though. Like now you and Nyla are doing your thing. Like,
yeah, man. It's beautiful to see where like we both are, and like
Angie for like bringing y'all up, and yeah, that's a big cosign.
Yeah, man.
When it comes to radio in New York,
yeah,
everyone knows Angie Martinez.
Of course.
She's like, and she's just cool with everyone.
Yeah.
So how has that experience been with being with such a radio legend? Because it's like you wanted to do that, and then you're working with the best at that, pretty much. Like,
it's dope. Yeah, it's crazy because like I grew up listening to her. My aunt used to play her a lot in the car when we would drive around. So it was like when I had the opportunity, I was like, yo, I got like a laundry list of questions for you, right? Some of them, I wasn't going to ask about the Tupac interview because the Tupac interview she gets asked about all the time. So I remember like we did the interview, and it was just like it felt like a really full circle, like, New York moment for me. And as someone who's from here, someone who appreciates New York radio, someone who appreciates the culture and who has seen what she's done for the culture, it was like really, that interview was just amazing. And then obviously getting to learn from her and the other people at Power, you know what I'm saying? Like she brought me there and I worked on her show, but there's also so many other people who have contributed to who I am today. Obviously Angie bringing me there and like working on her show, like I learned so much from her, you know what I'm saying? Like I learned so much on the radio side of things from her in terms of like, you know, editing audio, cutting clips, this and that, because she would actually like, you know, there was one semester where she was like super hands-on with us. I remember I cut up this Big Sean clip about him talking about how like Hove didn't tell him that that Beyonce was pregnant, and then I cut it up, and like, you know, she like, she's my boss, so she's like the biggest critic, and I remember she liked that clip off the rip, and we sent it over to like, you know, the imaging guy, and then it was on air the next day. So that was like really cool to be able to hear like a clip that I cut up of her interview be on air. And then obviously, you know, Honey German, who was also at the station, also on air, she taught me everything I know about the digital side of things and how you know, to get engagement, how to market your content to the right people, and like this and that. So I had like, it was really cool being at that station and having like these really like, you know, dope, strong women kind of be my mentors in the game, which I really appreciate, you know what I'm saying? Because they're both, you know, they're both Latina. I'm Puerto Rican, so it really kind of felt like it was meant to be, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't really have too many, of course, besides my parents, I didn't really have too many like Hispanic or Latino mentors growing up. So it kind of felt like, you know, it was meant that it was all part of the plan.
For sure. And like, I know a lot of people are in tune with the radio, but they don't know like what goes into it behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like the clips and stuff, but maybe what are a couple of the things you first realized that were some of your biggest surprises when you first started like learning from such like seasoned vets like that, you know, like anything that comes to mind?
It's just crazy how you're able to, how, you know, how much stuff that really goes into the show, you know, because like there's artist prep, and then there's prep for talking about what's happening during the day, and then there's prep for, you know, everything is prep, and then it happens, and then but the work's not done yet, and then you have the post show where it's like you're editing this, you're editing that. Right. Radio now is so much more than just we do an interview, play it on air, talk on it. It's more than that now. Now radio's digital, radio's this, radio's content. It's just like everything else in the world where it's you want to have content going up quickly, consistently, things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like interviews now, like I write blogs now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a writer at like Complex, but I have to write blogs up because, you know, things have to go out, content has to go out. You know what I'm saying? It's there's a lot that goes into it now. You know, writing up interviews, writing up Angie's interviews, writing up Breakfast Club's interviews. You know what I'm saying? There's like so many different things, so many different parts of that are moving in a radio station. It's not just, you know, what you might think is just like base level. We doing the interview and then put the interview out on air. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Things have evolved so much over the past. I guess you could say 19 years, 20 years now. That where, you know, back then it used to be record the interview on tape, play it back on air, keep the tape for later, and then, you know, like a lot of radio people still have those tapes from back in the day. Sure. But now it's like, we videoing it, we audio, it's living in an article online, it's living in Instagram clips, it's living in Facebook clips, Twitter clips, like, you just saw me counting on my hand how much, like, all these different things that we do, and that's not even, like, everything. It's a total package, you know what I'm saying? It's more than just what you see on the surface.
No, for sure, and, like, it's also a new day and age, obviously, than when you started with it, even though it hasn't been so long, but it's like, you know, there's more and more people just creating their own content, right?
Right.
And it's like, what is that like from the kind of more the corporate side, like the big wigs like iHeart and Hot 97, Power 105, like from your standpoint, is it like a threat where they're like, yo, any day, like there could be an Adam 22 who's just doing it on his own, like that can maybe kind of take us on, or are they like, yo, we're just doing our own thing, we're more of a big brand, like? Are there conversations about that? Do they have to step their game up? Like,
I don't think so, because, I mean, you and I had the conversation about how Adam 22, like, you know, he does his interviews and that's really it. And iHeart is its own thing in a nutshell. And, I mean, I don't think that it's, like, in terms of competition, like, we all do our own thing, you know what I'm saying? We all put out our content. We all have very different content, you know, from iHeart to, like, other radio companies out there. But there is, like, I think the conversations are had. I think people... You know, if there's a new trend, everybody hops on it. I don't think it's, you know, just mutually exclusive to, like, that one person, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Off the rip, I guess, like a good example of that is, like, Enter Player 2, the video game show that I do at iHeart. You know, it's a big trend to be playing, to play video games, you know, like Twitch, all that stuff is huge. And so, like, you know, we thought, like, oh, like, what if we took some of these artists, some up-and-coming artists, some other types of artists, and put them in a room. We play video games with them. You know, we play like Mortal Kombat, 2K, Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, and we just talk and do an interview. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And just try to get them out of. At least my mindset was to just get them out of the typical interview space, because you know I feel like nowadays not a lot of artists like doing press. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they keep repeating themselves, saying the same thing over and over and over again. So that's why I think that it's a good idea to try to like diversify your content, which is what I think that, you know, media companies are trying to do now. We're trying to get past the whole, you know, 2 people behind 2 mics, 2 camera shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are still very popular and they still work. But also it's like, all right, so we're doing that, but what else are we doing to kind of have that mainline focus, but then also have all these other types of content going at the same time to kind of capitalize off these different trends?
Yeah, you got to diversify. I guess, like, because that's what kind of what I was meaning to say, like, there's so much more content now.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do now.
Yeah, and I guess from you interview, you've been doing great interviews. I watched a lot of them.
Thank you.
Love what you're doing, and you've seen other great interviewers. Like, what do you think separates someone? Like, what makes them like, all right, that's a dope interviewer. Like, they know what they're doing based on your experience, like what you've seen and
like what the artists are doing, or just in general.
No, just
what
like
makes an interview great in general?
Like an interviewer, like what makes an Angie Martinez so good at her job? Like, you know, like, because when I watch them, like, they are great interviews. She's really good at. Is there a secret sauce, like, you think that's in there? Like,
do I think there's a secret sauce? I don't know. See, for me, I'm just like, I am like a conversationalist. Like, I love just like, you know, having conversations with people. So for me, you know, I can't speak on anybody else's behalf, but I don't, at least for me, I just like talking to people. So, but in terms of what you're asking, where do you think that there's like a secret sauce?
Or like a skill set, like that they're just good at. Because obviously conversation very important, you know?
I think it's just being able to pull something out of nothing. And what I mean by that is, like, there's a lot of artists out there, you know what I'm saying, that there are artists out there who love to talk.
Yeah.
Then there are artists out there who don't talk as much or aren't well media trained. I think if you can turn an artist who isn't media trained and basically have their personality flip in an interview to become, you know, personable, talkative, smiling, I think you've won. You know what I'm saying? You've done something. But that's not also to say that like it's gonna happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm man enough to admit that like I've done interviews where the artist has been like, you know, talking to me, but I couldn't get them to that point. And I don't necessarily blame myself. I don't blame them. It's just, you know, it wasn't a match. It just didn't work out. But then there's also interviews where I have done that, you know what I'm saying? Or there's interviews where I've talked to people and they're very talkative. Or there's interviews where, you know, we'll play video games and we won't talk for 10 minutes, but it's because we're playing the game. You know, there's like a lot of different things that go into it. But I think like if you can turn an interview with someone from like, if you could just turn that shit around and then go from like it being a boring interview to an exciting interview, I think you got the sauce.
Yeah, you won. Yeah, for sure. If you're able to get that person out of their shell, make them feel comfortable, you're good at what you're doing.
Because the juice is temporary, but the sauce is forever. The sauce is forever.
That's a fact. And you know, it's important for artists when they're promoting records, when they're doing what they do. Like you have your own show and you interview up and coming artists, and it's important what you just said, that they need to be media trained. Because they're going to have to go on and promote their albums.
Of course.
And they have to make sure they seem interested in what they're talking about. Like, what's some advice you would give some artists based on what you've seen so far, you know, in terms of them going into an interview, like how they can kind of spice it up, make me interested in your product, you know?
Literally, you have no, I feel like, drama in your life. And what I mean by that is you're not in the tabloids every single day where it's like, all right, I'm going to ask you, like, all right, so you cheated on your girl? Like, most of the up-and-coming artists, they're not in the tabloids every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, there might be a handful of the up-and-comers who are buzzing, and they might be in the tabloids. But, like, what am I really going to ask you that's going to bother you? I feel like the biggest problem with up-and-coming artists is that they're afraid of the interviewers, or they're afraid of doing press, or they're afraid of what they're going to be asked. Literally, there's nothing I can do to harm you. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to berate you. I'm not here to be like, what about this one time you got charged with? I'll be honest, I don't care. I'm here to talk to you about the music, your life, this and that. If you want to talk about the charges, if you learn something from going to jail or this and that, let's talk about it. We can talk about it. That's cool. I'm fine with that. You know, I've interviewed artists who've dealt with stuff like that, you know, and it's been fine. But then also I do understand that some artists have anxiety, you know what I'm saying? As someone who also has anxiety, I get it. And I know that, you know, if you have anxiety or if you have strong social anxiety and you know, interviews aren't your thing, then okay, I get it. It's all good.
For sure.
But if you're like, if you don't have anxiety or if you're cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's really no reason for you to not want to talk to somebody. Like, if someone who's opening their platform to you to promote your music, you know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, one single stream is like, you have someone else listening to your music. You know what I'm saying? You never know what you're going to get from an interview. So what if you only get like if you get one person listening to your music from an interview? That's still one more person you have listening to your music that you did yesterday.
Exactly.
That's still more money in your pocket.
One person could tell one more person.
Exactly. You never know where that tree branch is going to lead. And so bringing it back, just don't be scared to be interviewed. Like, have a personality when you get interviewed. Like, we're not here to hurt you. We're here to help you.
That's a fact.
And we're here to talk to you, and we're here to build a relationship. Because, you know, 10 years from now, we both going to be at that same party, just chilling, you know what I'm saying? I've seen it. I've seen people from 10 years ago, now they're huge, and now they're all at the same party hanging out. Why not build that relationship early so we could say that we had that relationship from the beginning?
Exactly. The industry is all about building that rapport, you know, with other industry professionals and just creating more outlets. And I think also I was excited to talk to you about this is the approach, right? Like, and for artists coming up, like, they have to understand how to like approach people who have platforms to get on.
I was hoping you asked me this.
Like, yo, I had to talk to you about this. Like, I was biting my tongue when we were off camera not to talk to you about it. Yeah. So I was like, because people, you know, I have my own platform too. We're talking on it, and people will be like, interview ? Like, yo, interview me. Like,
yo.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I actually take the time to say, listen, there's a way to do this. Yeah. So you can learn now. Like, are you submitting interviews? Like, I give them, you know, I want you to talk about it because I can go all day, you know what I'm saying?
Some of my, like, I'm trying to think of one of my biggest pet peeves. Don't just send me a link with your music. You send me a link with your music, your DM is getting deleted and your email is getting deleted.
Word.
I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but what am I going to do with this? No hello, no hi, you know what I'm saying? Like, the music industry is a profession just like any other profession. And if you're going to be in the music industry as an artist, or, you know, if you're going to have a publicist, or, you know, I don't even care who's sending it from your team. If you're sending it from your team, you're not, like, if you're just sending it from your team and you're an up-and-coming artist, you don't have, like, a PR person, you don't have a manager, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have this big team around you that does stuff for you. Therefore, you're by yourself, right? And I understand that because I'm also by myself in most of the stuff that I do. But that's just because I'm a control freak. But as for you, there's no way that you should just be, like, you're sitting on your couch, right? And you look at your phone and you're like, you know what I'm gonna do to this guy? I'm just send him my link to my YouTube video. Yeah. Premiere it on WorldStar. That's fine. That's cool. I respect it. Good for you. I'm still deleting your message because you didn't take the time out of your day to say hello. You know what I'm saying? I'm big on, you know, just being courteous, bro. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I might sound like an asshole right now, but I promise you, I've worked in this field for 4 years now, and I know that doesn't sound like a long time, but I've met with a lot of people, whether it be at iHeart or another radio company, and I've literally watched people delete emails because someone didn't say hello to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's a common thing of courtesy that people need to learn to follow, especially in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're an up-and-coming rapper don't mean that, like, you know, you got a hot song doesn't mean that I owe you anything. You know what I'm saying? Right. Being able to, like, be on these platforms as an up-and-coming artist is a privilege. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to bring you into our house, sit you on our couch, feed you. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to do all these things for you. But we do these things for you because we want to help see you build. So if you want to build with us, little common courtesy. So, like, links, just straight up links, I don't look at. If you're sending me like 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you send me, I've gotten emails where it's like a 6-paragraph pitch about themselves. Yeah. Not just like a bio, not just like a, hi, how's it going, Gabe? Like, you know, I want you to check out my stuff, blah, 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 blah. You know, it'd be like a whole essay on why they should be on my show. Right. That's just like a lot. I appreciate it, but like, I'm not reading through 10 paragraphs worth of stuff. Like, that type of stuff is like, you know, we work a lot in a day. I do a lot of things. I have a job. I have like my regular job, and then I have my interview stuff that I do all around the place. It's just like, that's like a lot for me to read. Like, I think as an up and coming artist, your emails or your DMs should be real simple, real concise. Hello, what's up? I really like the platform. Hoping to be on it one day. You know, here's a link to my bio, my EPK, some music, and then that's it. Real simple, real easy, real professional, and then that's it.
That's it. Short, sweet, respectful.
To the point.
Yeah.
Don't just send me your MP3. It gets me so hot thinking about how I open an email that says no subject, and then you look at the bottom and it's just like 3 MP3s.
Oh, those are emails too? I thought it was just DMs. Like,
no, I'm talking emails, DMs, all the same thing. Or when they send me voice notes.
No subject? Like, damn.
Bro, I've got an, you know how like on IG you could send like the voice note in the DMs?
Yeah.
It'll literally be like a guy, I guess, I don't know, maybe they're in the studio and they're like putting their phone next to the speaker and they'll send, you'd be shocked by some of the stuff I got. And then they get mad when you don't answer.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting mad because I didn't answer. You didn't even say anything the first time.
Right.
I don't owe you anything. At the end of the day, I'm in my position because I'm in my position. And you're trying to, you know, not latch on, but you're trying to get on the platform.
For sure.
So if you're trying to get on the platform, it's like applying for a job. You're not gonna hit somebody and be like, oh, resume. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
In most job applications, you got to say hello, blah 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 blah, and then resume. You know what I'm saying?
Like people in the music business think there's some secret, like you have to be super aggressive and like no rules apply. It's like you just said, like you're applying for a job. Like you just gotta be like really the same thing. Write a subject. Say, hey, how's it going? And just talk normal. Like it's not that big of a deal. It's really not hard. And humble yourself so too. I think that's important because what I've seen, like, and you see it even more if you're around huge artists all the time. Like a lot of them have that humble respect to them, you know.
Yeah.
And like a lot of artists, they need to understand like you're opening your platform and be grateful for it. And like if you kind of move with that swag, you're gonna get a lot more doors will open, you know.
Yeah.
And every interview, like you just said, it doesn't matter how big it is. That person, if you came respectful on time and you gave a good interview, they have other connections. Like it all builds, you know. So
100%.
And going off that, I like what you're doing for the up and coming artists. Like, can you tell me more about the platform you have? You started.
So, oh my God, I feel like I have so many platforms. All right, so on the radar.
So
on the radar was kind of like it started off as like a way just for me to like stretch my legs to kind of like kind of get back into the habit of interviewing people, because interviewing people, like, it came really naturally to me in college. You know, I had a few big interviews online. No one like crazy famous, but you know, big enough that, you know, I got like a couple 100,000 views on some interviews. I think, who did I interview? Who was one of my big interviews in college? Oh, Boz and no, Kaz and Omen from Dreamville. Boz was at his grandma's crib during the interview, like down the block. So that was kind of funny. But it was when J. Cole came to our school for the tour. So we did that interview, and I was like, I was 18 at that time. So that was like kind of one of my first big interviews. So obviously by this time in my career, when I got hired and whatnot, I hadn't done an interview in a long time because I was so focused about just getting in the building. So I started this platform as kind of like a way to stretch my legs and kind of build with up and coming talent from New York, because I'm really about, like, you know, New York and, you know, collaborating more, working together, whether it be artists to host or artist to artist, blah 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 blah. Like, I've been able to connect people and connect dots for people that, you know, it's been like a blessing. So anyway, so the platform itself is just to help up and coming artists, whether, you know, you have 5,000 followers to like 1,000 to like 1,000. You know what I'm saying? There's not like a cap as to who I'll interview. It's mostly like, do I fuck with your energy? Do I fuck with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are proper channels. Obviously, some people just go in, you know, based off favors, but like, I do mess with their music. It's just like, you know, some people are easily accessible to me because of other people I know, whether, you know, we know someone through, we have like a few mutual connections or something like that. But the whole point of the show itself is just to help promote artists as a whole, artists that you won't see get interviewed by, you know, mainstream outlets as much as, you know, you normally would, because I feel like people don't get interviewed until they're enormous, and I think that's annoying, because, like, what's the point? And that is just kind of like my philosophy behind On the Radar. And then On the Radar is something that I'm very adamant about keeping. Like, if I blow up one day, or if I'm, you know, doing enormous interviews, like if I'm interviewing people like Big Sean, or, you know, artists of that caliber, or artists of, you know, even like the people who are breaking today, On the Radar is just something that I want to keep, whether I'm running it or somebody else is running it, as a platform, just to be there for people who need a platform to kind of speak up and be heard and, you know, need a look.
No, I like that a lot. That's important, because you're pushing the culture forward by doing that. Any artist that comes to mind when you think of, like, oh, that was really
Amazing interview.
Amazing interview. Like any of those, like if some names come to mind, like yo, you really believe in them, like you can see them breaking.
As an artist, yeah. So, man, who recently? She knows I fuck with her project heavy. She just dropped it. Lexi, huge.
Okay.
I think she's gonna be huge one day. Deli from Harlem, right here.
I know Deli. Yeah.
Deli's gonna be huge one day.
Saw you interviewed the Gangtivity squad.
Gangtivity, my guys, yes, Gangtivity. How could I forget Gangtivity? I fuck with them heavy. I like their group dynamic. Their group dynamic is dope, and they got like this very raw Brooklyn sound to them that I can't help but fuck with. And they all have their own personality. And they all do their own thing on the side too.
Their own like styles too.
Yeah.
Like the hipster one, like the
I literally said that. Yeah.
It's like it's dope. Like
I really like what they got going on. Shout out my guy Oyabun. Oyabun's dope too. He has a very like a melodic sound to his music, and he be putting in a lot of work.
That's a dope.
Yeah, Oyabun's dope. Oyabun's dope. Shout out my guy.
Stash, you know Stash.
Stash, of course. How could I? Come on, man. I know all my.
That's a dope track.
All my Brooklyn guys. I interviewed them all. Was it this year or last year? Stash was last year. Stash was like at the beginning of On the Radar, but he was.
What do you see these artists doing? Like the ones that are like trending and moving upwards. Like what do you see them doing versus the ones that? Because I feel like a lot of artists that I see in the game, they have the passion, they have the work ethic, but they kind of are stuck. They're not moving as smart as others. Like, what do you see differentiates them? I think, for each artist is different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, one artist could do something, and I could still think that they're gonna blow up that another artist isn't doing, and I still think that artist is gonna blow up. I think it all depends. Like, example, Elijah the Boy, super dope. He fucking kills it with his social media. Elijah the Boy has some of the best social media presence I've seen in any of these up-and-coming artists, solely because he interacts with everybody. He talks to everybody. His fans are like his family. And I know people say, oh, fans are like, everybody, every artist says that. Of course. But not every artist means it. Yeah. He means it. You know what I'm saying? Like, in his interview, he told me about how, like, fans would cry to him on the street, blah, 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 and he would, like, console them, and he'd be like, I don't want you to look at me, as, like, this fair. I want you to look at me as your family. And he literally does that on Instagram every single day. Wow. He literally you know what I'm saying? That's his family. Elijah be killing it, man. Like, you definitely you're telling me you don't got 10 minutes out of your day after you post a photo to just sit there and reply to people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You reply to the negative comments, because you know what? That's still engagement, and that's still gonna bump you up in the Instagram algorithm. Come on, these are smart. These are things. Even reply to the people who are mean to you, because even the people who are mean to you, you're just thank them. Thank you for commenting. Literally, just thank you for commenting. Yeah. And that's it. You gave me your interaction. You're clicking on my shit. That's it. But I think that's important. Like, that's what they do. That's, like, Elijah the Boy has a great social media presence. Amazing social media presence. But, like, other artists that I like, they might not have the best social media presence. But that's okay, because their music backs up what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody isn't replying to everybody that's in their comments doesn't mean that they're not doing well. It's just everybody has their own path to that angle. And that angle, if you don't want to talk to all your followers, that's cool. That's cool too. You can drop music, talk to people here and there. That's fine. But, like, people like Elijah are, like, killing it with social media, and I think that's important moving forward. Definitely. Because in our interview, he talked about Russ in our interview, and he posted a clip dumb early. Like, the interview came out like 2 weeks after this clip, but he was like, everybody tag Russ in the comments. Everybody tagged Russ in the comments. Guess who commented? Russ. Word. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so just like, and that's just the power of his fans alone. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if more people did that. I think I even commented on that. Really? There you go. I hit up at Russ on that. That's funny, because I've seen the artists that have been able to obviously have that social media presence, and then we're in New York, so there's always, if you have like good hustle and you're good with people, you can get into, like, you see those artists that are like at every event, like, damn, I'm always bumping into this dude, like, really, like the definition, like, he's really outside, like, this dude, like those people, like, who can kind of do both, like, I see are like, and obviously have the content, I see really like moving well, but I kind of wanted to transition to the team part, because I'm sure you interview artists that are like, all right, they're at that stage where they might be looking for management, they might have management. Like, what do you see like is important for them to? What do you see the good managers doing like with them? Like, how do you see them moving? Because I know Jocelyn, she's a good manager.
Yeah, shout out my girl Jocelyn. My girl Jocelyn always looking out for me.
You know what I mean? So
that's family. I think, man, Jocelyn got the blueprint down to like a down to like a pack, man. I mean, she's just doing what she's doing. Every manager for up and coming artists should be kind of zoning in and seeing. You know, her and Quay, they both, you know, Quay's Stashes.
Yeah, shout out to Quay as well.
Yes, Quay's Stashes manager. I think that what they do with their artists, you know, as up and coming artists is great. Like they really ride or die for them, and I think that's important. I feel like sometimes, you know, labels or, you know, like street labels, you know, people get too trigger happy and they're like, I'm assigned to the street label, but then the street label mistreats them and whatnot. I think it's important that you find like someone who you fuck with as like a human being, and someone who you think genuinely gives a fuck about what you're doing and cares about your content and has a hustler spirit in mind, and then you just ride with them. Because, you know, I got so many. Shout out my guy Mick. He manages and works with Jams Turn Me Up, the producer. He works with Cozy with the Curls. He has one other artist that he works with, but he's like that. Like I see him on the road with these people. You know what I'm saying? I see him at the studio at like 6 a.m. with them, and you know, and he still has his projects on the side. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really important that you find someone who matches your energy and who just overall cares about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you have a manager who, like, you know, don't get trigger happy. Don't sign the first deal that comes your way. Don't sign the first managing contract that comes your way, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make sure that's a good fit for you. Yeah. Don't mess up your bag. Like, be patient. I feel like that's the one piece of advice I can give everybody is be patient, because I know being patient sucks. I hate being patient. I'm the worst. But, like, it's literally, that's what you got to be. Because the right opportunity, if you're putting the content out, you're putting the music out, you're doing what you got to do, you know what I'm saying? You're shooting the videos, you're out here, you're promoting your record. You got people playing your record. You got people doing TikToks. If you got people doing TikToks to your record, or thrillers, whatever they're all called, it's over. Yeah. But like when it comes to your managers, man, find someone who got the same hustle, the same energy as you. Because if you get someone who isn't the same energy as you, then it's over. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll get scammed. I've seen it all. But shout out to Jocelyn. Shout out to Quay. Some people off the Mick. Shout out to people. Shout out to them off the top of my head. Those are my people. Those are family. They've always looked out for me, and you know what I'm saying. I'm not just bigging them up because they're my people. I'm bigging them up because they're working.
They're good at what they do.
And they're three people who've always managed to stay in contact with me even after the interviews. You know what I'm saying? Oh, my guy Swift. I got to shout out my guy Swift. He works with a bunch of artists up in Newburgh and in the Poughkeepsie area, and he really be putting on for them. A lot of people who work with Partisan Fontaine. Jake Nice, Dizzy Banco, Tony E. He really rides or dies for them, and like I said, he's a hustler too. And you know, being from the, I guess you quote unquote upstate New York area can be difficult because it's hard to kind of break people, you know, bring people down from there into the city. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like being from very far out in Long Island. It's hard to kind of like get that traction, but he's managed to do that with his team, with his people, and build a recording studio up there, and like, you know what I'm saying, it all worked out for them up there too. So I gotta give a quick shout out to them because they really be putting in the work, and he actually cares about his artists, and
that's a fact.
And you could always tell who cares and who don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because I've interviewed people who have managers. I'm like, you ain't gonna be around for much longer. I could feel it. Or y'all, this ain't gonna work out for much longer. And guess what? It hasn't worked out for much longer.
Yeah.
So
you just see it.
You could just see it. The body language is everything too. So
yeah, that's a fact. And let's transition over to you a little bit. I want to hear more about like what are some short-term, long-term goals for you in the career? Because you know what is ideally. Do you have a specific job that you would want to maybe have in the radio industry, or you know, what is it? Is there a specific end goal for you?
Man, I be telling everybody this, right? And I said it when I was 19. I said I'm the hardest working man in radio in New York City. At 19, like up and coming. I'm not dissing anybody who's been in the game. I'm saying as for up and coming, I'm the hardest working in the game. All right. But I also said when I was 19 that one day people gonna say, oh, you can't stop in New York without stopping by Gabe. Or without saying what's up to Gabe or stopping by his show or whatever show I got, you know, 10, 15 years down the line, I promise you I'm still going to be here. But the end goal is just I want to build something in the city, and it could transcend the city. I'm not saying it's not. I don't want to limit myself to New York, but right now my focus is only on New York because that's like the first thing I want to conquer. And I just want to build something that's going to last, you know what I'm saying? Like all the different content I do, it's all things I'm passionate about. You know what I'm saying? Like the On the Radar interviews is something that I'm passionate about. The producer series is something that I started because I genuinely feel like producers don't get enough credit for the things that they do. So, and I'm not every producer I'm interviewing is, you know, is like Hit Boy. You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest producer that I've interviewed is Arsonist from the Heatmakers. Like, you know, the guy responsible for Dipset Anthem and all that, which was just doing that interview and just being in that studio and being in that room with him was a blessing in itself. But doing these producer interviews has like also, you know, it's really opened my eyes to like what producers do. So I definitely want to keep that going. Comic Kings is just, it fuels my nerd side of me because I'm really into stuff like that. So I think that that's also important. You know what I'm saying? Especially in hip hop now, being a nerd in hip hop is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you can love hip hop and then also love Marvel movies at the same time. Like doing that stuff is cool now, which is I think is good for us because, you know, I feel like growing up, it wasn't considered cool to be into comic books or be into that type of stuff. But now it's like dope. Now it's like, okay, cool. Like you and Charlamagne are talking about comic books, and now I got people following me, you know, who have like, you know, whether they're black or Spanish, they'll hit me. They'll be like, yo, bro, like it's so nice seeing two guys, you know, who look like me and who are like the same culture as me talking about this stuff. Because I mean, there are a few people. I'm not gonna discredit what they're doing, but like there's not too many like, you know, Latinos or black people who talk enough about this stuff or talk about comics and things like that. And then as for the video game stuff, the video game stuff is just like, you know, I love video games and I love being able to do that. It's a great way to build with bigger artists too at the same time. But at the end of the day, what I want is I want to be able to, whether it's on air or digitally, you know what I'm saying? Because things are always changing. Like we talked about at the beginning of this interview, how things are, you know, how radio is more than just being on air now.
Yeah, you got a package.
There's a package, yeah. So whether it's like, you know, I have an on-air shift 10 years from now, or whether, you know, my content is solely digital, like whatever it is, it's going to be something that's going to be like real, it's going to be legit, and it's going to be something that lasts. And you know what I'm saying? And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't lose touch with with like the up-and-coming side of things too. And I know a lot of people say that and a lot of people lose touch, but I'm very determined to break that mold and to, you know, kind of keep everything all together. You know what I'm saying? Because all the content I put out is all shot, edited, mostly by me, except for my producers. Shout out my boy Christian, who edits my videos. But that's why I think it's the content I put out is so close and personal to me, is because I'm the only person who touches it for the most part. You know what I'm saying? There might be one or two other hands in it, but I'm the one who sets up the camera, who sets up everything, who edits it, who drops it. And I don't know if it'll still be like that. You know what I'm saying? I would love a team one day, but as for now, that's what it is. And I don't know, just one day I want to be able to have a platform that anybody could stop by and anybody be welcome on, and it still be considered, you know, maybe not a Breakfast Club level platform, but I'm gonna aim for that one day. Like one day that would be the ideal thing to have, is to be able to have that voice in media. But yeah, something like that would be like my ideal end goal. Like I said, whether it be digitally or on the radio. I'm saying on the radar.
Massive platform.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's I mean, you're doing all of the steps necessary to get there. You know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to maybe learn a little bit more about like those earlier steps, because you were talking to me about internships, and that's really important too. I want people to really learn from this, like,
yeah,
because people will get these opportunities, and like an internship, you're young, you know, a lot of people don't. You kind of are just doing it because people do it, instead of like, all right, let me actually like not regret this 6 years from now and be like, damn, I could have done all that. Yeah. Like, what are some things if like you have an internship at like an iHeartRadio, what are some things you should try and do when you're in that situation, you know?
Yo, ask mad questions. Yeah. Ask mad questions. Like, things that I wish I did during my internship, that it's not that I'm paying for now, but I wish I like taught myself more things. Obviously down the line I learned how to use the boards in the radio station. I became proficient in Photoshop when I got hired. I had to teach myself Photoshop. I taught myself Premiere, which is like video editing. But like, if I were my interns now, which they do ask a lot of questions, I would ask like, you know, video editing questions. Like learn as much as you can. Literally, like, you're there and you're being paid to be there. Most internships are paid now. Like, why the fuck would you waste your time and just sit there and do nothing? Like, ask mad questions. If you want to shadow somebody, ask to shadow them. What's the worst they could say? No. Like, what are you know what I'm saying? What are you gonna, like, if they say no, you're like, all right, all good. It's cool. I get it. But like, you should be asking mad questions. Ask to shadow people. Like, literally soak in as much knowledge as you can, because if you get proficient in that, that's stuff that goes on your resume. That's stuff that you could say that you're good at. You know what I'm saying? Like, the one thing that I'm very proud of, at least myself, is that I know how to do, like, 50 million different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if, God forbid, anything ever happens, like, there's, like, other things that I can do.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's very important, is that as an intern, you should be diversifying yourself as much as possible. Like, I understand you want to, like, if your end goal is to be in radio and be an on-air host, that's dope. But that's not going to happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? Most people, most on-air hosts, you know what I'm saying, they don't really get on until their late 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like mid-late 20s. So you can't just bank on the fact that, you know, you could say you're on-air personality. That's all good and well, but you're not actually on air. So you might as well take that internship experience, learn something from it, get a job, be in the building, and then just work your way up to what you want. Because nobody's just going to look at you and be like, you're going to be on air tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's really important. That's what I feel like is really, in radio internships in particular. And like other internships, you should just be asking mad questions, just doing enough that you can have the necessary experience to apply for the job in the building to get your foot in the door. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And don't rush yourself, because when you rush or when you try to be too lit, that's when you start messing up, and that's when you start jamming yourself up. And I've seen it happen as someone who, you know, works with a lot of other interns nowadays, and who's seen a lot of interns come and go in the past, like 2 years of me officially being hired at iHeart. I will say, like, don't get too ahead of yourself. Don't get too cocky. Don't, you know what I'm saying? My thing is, like, nobody should ever be comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
The second you get comfortable is the second that I feel like most people get fired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when people get too comfortable is when you're messing up. Like, me right now, I'm not comfortable. But I'm not comfortable in a good way, because I'm not comfortable because I'm working and I'm getting all these different things done. Like, I'm stressed out because I got like...
That's healthy stress.
Exactly. I got like 15 videos to edit.
Right.
But that's good because that's 15 videos that I'm going to put out.
Right, exactly.
But like, if I didn't have any of those things, I was just twiddling my thumbs, doing my day-to-day job work, I'd be stressed out because I'd be like, all right, something's about to happen. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You're stagnant, and then you get lazy, and then you lose the drive, and then it's clipped for you.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my little... advice. Don't get ahead of yourself in these internships, man, because just be happy that, accept your blessings, do the work that they ask you, ask a lot of questions, and just keep it pushing.
Be a sponge, yeah.
Be a sponge, because the second you try to, like, be litter than you are as an intern is when you fuck up.
Nah, that's a fact, and I wanted to ask you some segment questions, because we're towards the end of. I wanted to ask you. And, you know, you could take a minute with this question. Mm-hmm. It's a good one for you. If you could interview maybe 2 or 3 people that come to mind, like, on the planet right now, anyone you really would like to sit down and have a conversation with?
It can be, like, music or not music?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, anyone, really.
Anybody on the planet?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me think about that. All right, so for the music and for the actors... I'm going to say 2, but I'm going to explain it. Okay. Why? Because it's just going to be real quick. All right, so for political, AOC. And the reason why AOC is just because I feel like she is the voice in... and I'm not a political person, so I don't need nobody coming after me. Don't come after me with the bullshit, all right? I'm not a political person. I just, like, I know I'm bare surface minimum, right? AOC, as someone from the Bronx, and as someone whose father's from the Bronx, mom's from Brooklyn, and who struggled to get where she is, and, you know, she is... I'm not exactly sure how old she is. I think she's like 28. She's like late 20s. As someone who bartended and just created this platform and beat this big old guy out of his position in this race and has now become one of the most prominent figures in American politics, is one of the... And as a Latina, too, is like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And someone who's so... who's someone who's so progressive and someone who understands young people. Like, yo, bro, she be dead-ass cooking ramen, talking about politics on her Instagram Live. If that doesn't sum up this generation, I don't know what does. Right. And all the old people, you know, in the government are, like, criticizing her for it. Yo, like, this is the problem. This is what's wrong with America.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's going to be the one to, or if not, she's not the one, but she's the spark. She's the spark that ignites something in people who want to get into politics. You know, maybe that little like Latino kid from the Bronx, or, you know, Latino kid from Harlem or the Heights, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he sees her and he's like, yo, I can do that shit too. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, you know, kids of immigrants, you know what I'm saying? Whether they're like Haitian, Jamaican, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, like, they see her and they're like, maybe she don't look like all of them, but she still represents who they are. and she still represents us as a culture, us as like an urban culture, us as minorities, us as, you know, Latinos, and it's just what she's doing, and women in general too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she represents so many things about the American youth today, even though she's not considered American youth, but she represents so many things about the American youth today that I think all of us can see something in her that we like. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I know not everybody's gonna like her. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there are some Hispanics who don't like her, but what I'm trying to say is just as someone who's so young and someone who has created what she's created in politics. She'd be arguing with Donald Trump on Twitter Yo, isn't that crazy? A 28-year-old be arguing with Donald Trump on Twitter. That's insane to me. Yeah. And you gotta respect it because she doesn't give a fuck and she holds her own and she just does what she does, and that's why I got so much love for her, and I just think it's so beautiful that she's in the position that she is. And yeah, so that's my choice for political,
that's
right?
That's a great answer, yeah.
All right, so actors, right? I'm a big Marvel fan, right? So my two picks for this would be like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. And it's not so much because of the fact that they're in Marvel movies or because of, or my love for the Marvel Cinematic Universe or those movies, but I just think I want to just pick their brains about their lives, because I think that both their stories are very interesting, especially Robert Downey Jr.'s, being
that's
like
the most inspirational,
exactly, you know what I'm saying?
Comeback kid ever,
Exactly, like it's not just it's like it's more than just like the comic books. It's just like I want to know, Chris Evans is like everybody's favorite political white actor, political correspondent on Twitter. Like, that's amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just it's so funny how he just claps back at people on Twitter, and he's just like, I don't know, they both just become such prevalent figures in American culture and in nerd culture, and Chris Evans low-key in political culture, which is weird, that I just feel like their stories are just so interesting and so integral to like pop culture and just culture and all this shit nowadays that it's interesting to see. Even like Mark Ruffalo, who was big into the environment. Like, I would just love to talk to them about, like, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, just pick their brains and, like, kind of understand what makes these guys tick and then, of course, ask them the superhero questions, like, yo, like, how did you play the same character for 10 years straight and not want to, like...
Kill two birds.
Yeah, lose your mind. All right, but that's that. So, music-wise, I would do one Spanish artist and one American artist, right? I feel like, and this will sound like kind of redundant, but I would want to interview J. Cole, right?
Okay.
And then for Spanish artists, I would want to interview J Balvin. And the reason for this is because I feel like Cole and Balvin both came out at a time that they're kind of like the leaders of reggaeton and hip hop right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both extremely different artists, but they're both in very interesting cultural positions where they both kind of are looked at as like the top tier of their genres of music. You know what I'm saying?
Those next generation guys.
Exactly. I feel like J. Cole and J Balvin, like they both had the torch passed to them like a few years ago. Like how J Balvin, I kind of feel like is the leader of reggaeton now. What Daddy Yankee kind of was back then. Fusing hip hop and Spanish music. Like, he does mad records with hip hop artists, just like Daddy Yankee did back in the early 2000s. And then J. Cole now is kind of the conscious of modern day hip hop and what we perceive to be like right, wrong, and like all these things about politics, the world, hip hop culture, urban culture, all the things, everything. Like, I feel like he talks about everything in his music. So I feel like that's why I would pick those two, just because of like how they picked up the torch, and they're like, I feel like they're midway through their run with the torch, and how they've just been able to both kind of like transcend just their genres too. You know what I'm saying? Like they're bigger than, one's bigger than hip hop, one's bigger than reggaeton. Like they both done things that are just beyond them. And like J Balvin with the fashion, and J Cole just being like a musical genius and just having all these different lanes of like bringing up Dreamville. Like, honestly, 5-6 years ago, I never thought Dreamville would be as big as it is today. And they got, while they might not have like the biggest artists in the world, like their artists put out amazing music. Like what the Earth Gang's album was crazy. Ari Lennox, Boz, Kaz, Omen all still put out great music. JID, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they both built something in their respective genres that is, like, I feel like transcended the genre and is, like, brought in, like, new lanes of everything. And J. Cole's shown that, like, you don't, like, he might have, like, a like big label behind him, but now he, like, owns all his masters, and, like, everything he makes now is his own, and, like, he gives his artists creative freedom. And then J Balvin, just from, like, the fashion to the music to just being a cultural figure in Spanish culture, is just, like, it's crazy to me how, like, you know, and as someone who is so openly, like, with, like, how he dresses, he's not afraid to, like, you know, have pink hair and be feminine and do all that, like, and that obviously influenced, like, the Bad Bunnies of the world, you know what I'm saying, where Bad Bunny has, like, long nail, like, it's just crazy how these two have kind of become, like, these cultural icons in their respective genres. And as someone who is on both sides of the pendulum, hip hop and like reggaeton, like, it's just, those are the two that I would pick, and that's why.
I love that answer, man. And I also wanted to ask you, in terms of your career so far on radio, what is some advice you would want to give to someone that would try and follow the career you've had based on the lessons you've learned so far?
Damn, you said career like I've been in it for mad long. I've only been in it for like 2 years, but
But like the whole, it's more than that though, because honestly, you really started when you were just doing it in college, because like, you were that dedicated. You got your first show like that. You wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I would just say, man, like, if you have a good personality and you got good topics to talk about, whether it's in music or, you know, there's other forms of radio. There's like news radio, politics radio, whatever. And you got a good voice for those things, and you think that it's something that you could talk about for a long time and the rest of your life, then I definitely think that that's something that you should explore. And don't ever be afraid to take risks with your show. I've had like 6 or 7 different shows, you know what I'm saying? And, like, just because something doesn't work out doesn't mean that it's the end of the line for you. There have been so many times where I'm like, yo, I'm going to stop doing On the Radar. And I've been like, nah. It hasn't even been like a whole year yet, or it hasn't even been this. Like, it doesn't matter if, like, sometimes you'll put out content and it won't get a lot of views. That doesn't matter. You'll put out, the next week you can put out an interview and have like 30,000 views. You never know what's going to happen next. So why would you eliminate those possibilities from happening by quitting whatever you're working on? You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what's going to happen next for you. You never know when your big break's going to happen. I mean, like, if I would just say that stick with what you're doing. If you've created a platform, don't give up on it. Just keep going, and then just keep working at it. And if you're trying to get into radio, get the internship, stick with the internship, ask the questions, do all that stuff that I said before, and just, like, make sure that you don't stray too far away from the path that's already been laid out to you. Because if you're working and you're putting out, like I said a million times, I feel like in this interview, if you're working, you're putting out the content, you're following the path, you're doing all that, I feel like your time will come. And I feel like everybody has a time if they're working the right way, have the correct, like, energy, and just have, like, the right vision for what they want to do with their life.
That's a fact. You gotta stay the course, and you gotta soak it up. And then the last question I would ask is, what's your biggest goal for 2020? If you have?
Oh man, 2020. Fuck, I don't even know. I feel like I did so much in 2019. I don't even know what to do in 2020.
Vision goal.
My vision goal, man. Shit. Man, I just want to keep building, keep creating new content, creating different lanes, keep highlighting people in New York, staying inconsistent, and then seeing what comes my way. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to start doing more festival interviews. That was a blast at Rolling Loud, man.
Nice.
I want to do more of those. I want to start expanding beyond just sitting down and doing interviews. Like I said, I kind of get bored doing sit-down interviews sometimes. Like, I like doing different things in interviews, which is why I like shaking up the way that my interviews look. You know, going to producer studios, playing video games with people. I like changing things up. I like consistent, content that's different from everybody else's content. So I just want to stay consistent in 2020, and I definitely want to, if whatever big things come my way, I don't want to just be like, I'm gonna interview Drake next year. Nah, I want to let it happen. I want whatever is going to happen in 2020 to come naturally, and I want to make sure that it's done the proper way. But we definitely going to do some crazy shit in 2020. It's definitely going to be some. By the end of next year, things will be a whole lot different, because things at the end of this year are already a million times different than what they were at the end of last year. But that's just because just stay consistent, stay working, and keep your head down, and just do what you got to do. And that's it.
90% is showing up.
90% is showing up to the job.
Word.
That's it.
I really appreciate you sitting down with us. A lot of gems today.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be dope.
Yes, sir. Young Atlas.